A very warm and good afternoon to all respected participants and fellow chartered accountants gathered here at Pune. It's a matter of great honor for me to moderate this forward-looking panel discussion on the theme which is very, very prominent for all of us, which is AI and the future of trust, revolutionizing audit, tax, assurance, and finance. These are the core domains of our chartered accountancy profession. We are here today in Pune, a city that beautifully balances its legacy and knowledge, culture and innovation. Just like how this city has transformed from being the seat of Peshwas to a modern day hub or startup and IT, our profession too stands on the brink of historical transformation, one driven by AI. And I think that is why we are all over here. We want to understand how AI is going to transform our profession. But let's be clear, this transformation isn't just about tools, about algorithms, it's about trust, which is very, very important. And in our profession, trust is not just a value, it's our currency. We meet at a time when artificial intelligence is no longer a supplementary tool. It is becoming the very fabric of how trust is created, documented, and tested in financial ecosystem. As CAs, we must ask, are we ready to audit algorithms as we once audited books? As chartered accountants, we are the custodians of truth in financial reporting. But in an age where machines might do the analysis, who carries the accountability? Where AI may highlight anomalies, who explains the context of these anomalies? And as audit become algomatic, where does our professional judgment, skepticism takes place? Today's discussion is not only just about embracing AI, it's about understanding our evolving role as professionals in shaping and securing the trust ecosystem. Friends, I am privileged to be joined by an exceptional panel here. We will engage with three distinguished speakers, each bringing their unique lens to how AI will reshape our responsibilities and challenge our assumptions. Trust me, friends, I was having a backseat discussion with three of the esteemed speakers here. They have been a wonderful individuals, very grounded, humble, with the kind of experience and the international exposure that they carry. And I'm sure our discussion today will give you a lot of insights and takeaways. Our endeavor would be to interact and give you those key points which as a chartered accountant you should be aware of while handling your role as consultants into accounting, auditing, tax, and finance. With that, I invite our first speaker, Dr. Bhushan Kelkar, to say a few words about him and introduce himself, because we are the best ones to introduce ourselves, isn't it? So over to you, sir.
So good afternoon, and thanks for inviting me. Quick introduction. I'm the director of Newflex Talent Solutions, which is a company which is using AI for career counseling, a part of that being in the finance area. I am, I think, the least connected with finance in this hall. I'm originally a chemical engineer from IIT Bombay, and I did my PhD in artificial intelligence 30 years ago from the UK. And I spent a good deal of time applying AI in various fields, the least of which is finance. But there are lots of commonalities between various applications there and finance, and I suppose that is one of the reasons why I'm here. Thanks for giving me this opportunity. I have 23 US patents to my name in various technologies, various fields, where AI has been used. Two of them are related to finance, not much. I have also been a TEDx speaker, and I have been interviewed on two Marathi channels, social channels. One is Amuk Tamuk, and the other one is Think Bank, just in case some of you have watched those. But thank you.
Dr. Saab, the more you speak, I get to know more about you. I was not even aware about this. Thank you for bringing this to notice. So friends, we are going to listen to this gentleman and pick his brain as to how this technology is going to help us. I now invite Mr. Anil Paranjape to have few words about himself.
Hi, everybody. A warm welcome to Pune. I'm a lifelong Punekar and very passionate about Pune. So I'm really glad that you guys are all here. I currently manage Avalara's India site. I'm the general manager here. I am an engineer by education, and pretty schizophrenic at that. For first 20 years of my life, I was with Intel building and managing our microprocessor design projects from Pentium Pro to the Core i7. And then I decided that I should use my Wharton MBA a little bit. And so I went into venture capital. I have been on the co-founding team with IIM Ahmedabad, with 3 VC funds, the latest one being Bharat Innovation Fund, a deep tech fund where we do invest in companies like this. I sit on their board and investment committee. I don't do the day-to-day deal making. Avalara, I've been on their board as an independent director since 2011. The company has grown substantially. We are leaders in indirect tax automation across the world. Like almost 50,000 customers, about $1.5 billion revenue. India is our biggest site. We are about 3,000 people here, most of them in Pune. And that's my tryst with tax. I'm not a tax professional, although a finance professional. So thank you very much for getting me here.
Thank you, Anilji. And we are all chartered accountants, so indirect tax is a growing area of practice. So many takeaways. We are looking forward to have it from your discussion here. And now I would like Mr. Sunil Kulkarni to have few words about himself.
Namaskar. My name is Sunil Kulkarni. I'm originally from Pune. Thank you for hosting this event in Pune, and all of you coming from all over Delhi, Chennai. Normally Delhi, Mumbai, they steal the limelight. But thanks a lot to the association for hosting this in Pune. I represent a company called Fidel Softtech Limited. We are into language and technologies. And 3 years back, we went public on the NSE SME exchange. And there we started respecting more the auditing and compliances and finance departments. Because coming from the tech side, we always saw HR or finance as just one of the departments. But now we have a lot to learn and understand. Because I went to Japan in '97, we found that delivering anything, any technical solution or service to Japanese, it has to be in Japanese language. So there we got this idea that we can deliver any technical solution, but the last mile can be in local languages. And now we have expanded to Indian languages or ASEAN languages. For example, let's say you are representing, because this sounds like mumbo jumbo. Say, let's say you are representing a Japanese company, or your client is a Korean company in India, and you are doing accounting or compliance services for them. Every quarter they have to report their headquarters, some reports perhaps. And you are using, say, Tally or SAP or whatever package. And now the headquarters say that we want that report in, say, Korean or Japanese. Then your first is you print that, get it translated and send it, A. B, you have an option to approach Tally or SAP कि sir ये हिंदी कोरिया में कर सकते हैं क्या या जापानीज में कर सकते हैं क्या? They'll probably say यार एक कस्टमर के लिए हम लोग नहीं कर सकते. And there we come into picture where we'll bring our solution without touching anything in Tally or SAP. We have that mechanism to localize it into Korean and we'll submit it to, say, the headquarters. So we work into language and technologies. Today, AI and its impact on accounting, we'll speak about that. I'll try to use less terminologies because people who are above 40 or 50, like me, I think you must be remembering, like 91, 93, computers came. We looked at it with fear and awe and respect. तब लोग like room के अंदर जाते वक्त चप्पल निकालना बोलते थे या they used to tell us खिड़की वगैरह बंद करो virus आ जाएगा. Meaning those were the days when we used to be afraid of computers. Likewise today when AI is bringing in, there's a lot of fear or there's a lot of, it will not be getting impact in next 2-3 years. These are things, it will take 10 years, 20 years. Of course, these are remarkable things, exciting times. It will take some time to permeate into different parts. So I look forward today to discuss some of these. It's a learning for us as well. Thanks.
Same here, Sunilji. So as the audience here, we are all eager to start the conversation, isn't it? Are you all excited, friends? Great. So having a very brief introduction about your international abilities, now without much ado, I will quickly start the discussion which audience is looking forward to. And let's begin not with the fear of change, but with the confidence that in our collective ability, we can lead this change. Yeah? So now, Sunilji has something to show us to begin with. So do not get fear about it, just enjoy it, and then Sunilji will comment on it.
The government has tried its best to put India on a high growth trajectory. It continues to build on the growth momentum. It continues to build on the reforms momentum, creating ease of living for its citizens and ease of doing business to promote more entrepreneurship. Given the challenging global environment, the government has tried its best to put India on a high growth trajectory. It continues to build on the growth momentum. It continues to build on the reforms momentum, creating ease of living for its citizens and ease of doing business to promote more entrepreneurship.
I think this was HDFC, and one of this is fake and one of this is real. So, and both could be fake as well, or both could be real as well, for all that matters. But with, so there are things that are happening where today, earlier, when we said trust, कि कुलकर्णी ने बोल दिया तो हो जाएगा, या ये ऐसा है तो हमने देख लिया तो हो रियल रहेगा, हमने सुना था या, but today what's happening is because of synthetic voice, because of videos, even our CCTV things getting tampered, anything and everything that you are looking at has to be rechecked, validated from different angles. And there, I think AI or these new technologies are playing havoc. So today, if you suddenly get a call and you think your customer has asked to make an entry or change something or book loss or book sell something, I think it has to be rechecked today, and it might not be your customer at all, for all that matters. So I think that a small demo which we wanted to highlight where cyber security or fraud or these kind of impact can be seen. Yeah.
Absolutely. The trust has been a major concern, and that's what the intent of this video, that do not trust anybody other than God. Right? All right. On this note, I'll start my conversation by asking Sunilji the first question to you. How do you think, sir, AI is reshaping our professional domain in tangible terms? Like, what is the impact due to AI on accounting, tax, and finance?
Again, I think the nitty-gritties are the day-to-day operations, you know better, and I'm sure this thing. But what we see in our own office or our customers or due to technology, things happening, there are pluses and minuses, of course. Meaning, as in today, technology, anything and everything that can be leveraged should be leveraged. So on one hand, we say that jobs can be impacted, for example. Say, especially data entry job or clerical job. But on other hand, it can be seen as a boon as well. Because today, if you unlike our times, if you take a youngster, a new grad, and who's doing an articleship or something, and उसको आपने बिठाया कि अरे data entry कर, तो बोलेगा यार इसके लिए तो हम लोग नहीं आए थे, meaning like, so they'll leave job in next 2 months or 2 years or 1 year, for example. But at the same time, if you ask them to automate something using or give them exposure, they might be more smarter than, and then they can build something. So I think there is a job, and the new jobs are getting created. For example, in our times, YouTuber or influencer was not a job, for example. But today, AI auditor, so let's say if you approach a client and they say that our reports have been generated in an AI engine that we have developed, then it becomes your responsibility to check कि ये बना कैसे है. Yeah, what are the data sets used to train this engine? And so a new job has been created now, which is an AI auditor or AI data analyst kind of, which was not perhaps there 2 years back or 10 years back.
Very rightly
So, and
said.
what are the skill sets required to this and how to validate and so on. So there is this job related impact. Then there are data privacy or related impact. For example, even in our office, many times we have to tell our people. So when we are searching on Google, let's say I'm searching on Google, find this who is most beautiful or whatever, anything. Google is understanding or building my psyche. So let's say today, आजकल लोग बोलते हैं कि अरे analysis बहुत easy है. I'll update this balance sheet or my customers P&L to ChatGPT and get analysis. But आपने वो data OpenAI को दिया है. And if tomorrow I say that boss, this is like this, you have given my data to somebody else. Meaning we are a listed firm, so anyway we are naked in that sense. But if there is a private firm, and it's a big private firm, say 5,000 crore का company रहेगा, वो बोलेगा यार, we don't want you to. Which means then company this awareness building about data privacy and security again would be primal for or could be important.
Absolutely, Sunilji.
Yeah.
So yeah, I understand that the concern is genuine around data privacy, auditing algorithm. These are the new areas and avenues which will open up in the advent of AI. On this note, now I'll come to you, Mr. Anil. In a globally interconnected environment, how do you think that tax compliances or embedding the systematic trust by transforming global tax compliance, how we build the trust in this new paradigm? If you can throw some light on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a basic fact that we have been observing for 20 years that every time technology advances, it encourages governments, jurisdictions to actually make life even more difficult for businesses because there is more enforcement, there is more complex requirements that governments come up with because they know that the businesses can handle that, right? There is automation available, there's technology which is affordable, etc. And we have seen this all the time. So what it means for tax compliance is that with AI becoming, the productivity is going to go up. People and businesses will be able to handle the complexities that regulations are going to throw at them. And what happens is, as a result, the governments actually are encouraged to make use of it. If we just talk about indirect tax globally, right, which is considered by governments as a good tax, which means they can make changes in it willy-nilly and it will not still piss off a whole bunch of people. And so, and they do. So in the US, for example, in 2022, right, there were almost 50,000 changes in the rates and rules and regulations that happened in one single year, right? It's like you get up in the morning and your knowledge is already obsolete every day, right? So how could the governments do it? Because there were companies like ours and others who are allowing or enabling customers to deal with that. If you just look globally, because we are a cloud provider that we do this for almost 200 countries worldwide, we know, what is changing in the world of tax, pretty instantaneously, right? So these changes go into hundreds of thousands per year. And I think that AI is going to actually encourage the governments to make these changes even more rapidly because they want to actually plug tax leakages, loopholes, enforce compliance, etc. Now, the issue with AI compared to other previous automation technologies is about all the hallucinations, who's going to trust what AI comes up with, and so on and so forth. And I think the biggest takeaway that we have had working with the government, all compliance, we are in compliance business, so one end is always government, right? Correct. So we actually work with governments. Governments are our customers on many aspects. Just one example is, we have a business which is coming up with the HS code that greases all the global commerce. And, despite all the precautions you take, you may make a mistake. And then what we have found is the customs departments are okay if you actually show to them as to what logic you applied, why you came up with what you came up with, and you made a mistake, but it was an honest mistake, right? So this traceability and this audit trail, if you can provide, governments have been quite sympathetic to that. And we have seen it firsthand. We actually provide that. So until now, we were providing more like audit trail kind of post-fact. Now we are changing our technology in more like a glass box manner rather than a black box manner, which means that traceability, auditability, generating audit trail at every node, every point, it's something that is built into the technology. So we are using AI with being very mindful of this issue that the government is going to have and business is going to have. So, so that traceability is something that is key for us, and I think for the businesses. But that is something that, without such technology adoption, especially with these kinds of pervasive changes, is just impossible.
Absolutely, Anilji, very nicely said. And to sum up, there is a partnership opportunities with the regulators. They are looking for people like us who can bridge the gap between the technology and the trust. And we are the best professionals, nicely poised, having that sort of an understanding of the regulatory framework, the compliances, the business processes, and we can literally bridge that gap, right? Great, and now over to you, Dr. Sir. Bill Gates stated that in 10 years, doctors and teachers won't be needed. What's the story that you think for our community of chartered accountants? Do you think that where do chartered accountants stand in the impending AI revolution? Do you see that there's a threat to us or there's an opportunity here for us? How do you see yourself?
Okay, I would request the presentation to be on the screen. I have a few, maybe a couple of slides to that effect. But before we get into that, since the question was related to the doctors and teachers and somebody like Bill Gates actually talking about this, I also want to point out that on 1st of July, we celebrated CA Day and Doctors Day. And the question in part at least is with respect to doctors. Also, I think it is very opportune that we are meeting on 18th of July and 16th of July was AI Appreciation Day world over. So I must congratulate ICAI for arranging it very close to AI Appreciation Day. What I wanted to really show on this presentation, maybe two or three slides, is why this question becomes even relevant to CS. Okay. If I said that by looking at your photograph, or if I take your photograph right now, I'll be able to make a good prediction as to whether you support BJP or Congress. I think most of you would be puzzled, or you'll start to think that I've gone completely awry. And the reason I'm showing this to you is because this has already happened. And this is where the real reach of artificial intelligence is. This is a research paper in 2021 January. So we are talking much, much older information. And there they are able to say that if I take a look at your facial features, I can make a reasonable prediction about your political leaning. Now, it's a different story that by looking at your photograph, I might be able to predict that you are from Shiv Sena, but most likely I will not be able to predict whether you are Shinde Sena or Uddhav Sena. So the Marathi intelligence and Maharashtra and Indian intelligence is way better than artificial intelligence. That's a different story. Because if you take a look at Aadhaar card, taking a look at the photograph on Aadhaar card, even you won't be able to say who you are talking to. So our own intelligence is not in question, but the point remains that AI has gone a long way, and that is the reason why this question even arises as to whether this will have an impact on chartered accountants. And whenever I have talked about Industry 4 or AI in general, the first 2 or 3 rows have almost always been occupied by chartered accountants. And their question being, if we are going into digital India, if we are going into a lot of digital transactions, world over, not just India, what happens to the transactional jobs which are there for either the entry level or the current practicing CAs? And I think therein lies the real issue. The real issue is about what type of jobs are having threat. So the transactional jobs definitely in all fields are going to experience a lot of threat. And this is very evident from the field that I'm much more closer to. For example, I'm sure you have read that 25 to 40% of coding in Google or many other companies is being done by AI now. So the community in coding, programming, etc. is worried. And similarly, the chartered accountant field also is exposed to that kind of threat. So wherever the transactional pieces are there, whether it is practicing or entry level, I think that's where the threat happens. And also, it is my feeling, I read somewhere that it was projected that by 2050, we are going to require 50 lakh chartered accountants, whereas we have 4 point some lakh today. So it's a 10-fold growth by 2050. Now, while I agree with that number, I think the work that might be needed because of India's growth is worth 50 lakh people. But I don't know if it is 50 lakh actual chartered accountants. The work will grow, but the number of heads may not. That's my feeling. And that's because I'm drawing parallel from other areas. In IT, the work has grown, the profit margins have grown, but the head count has dropped. And so the work needed might grow, but the proportionate people requirement may come down. That is my feeling, but that's just my opinion. So take it with a pinch of salt, maybe bucket of salt. It's up to you. But really, this is my feeling that a lot of transactional jobs will go. And that applies equally to chartered accountancy as it applies to other fields.
Great, Mr. Kulkarni Kelkar. Mr. Kelkar, coming in from you that we have got so much potential available in this domain, will relieve a lot of our audience here that we have got at least foreseeable future to keep us engaged, isn't it? But you also gave us a little bit of threat that the count may not be that big. So you only need to give us the roadmap ahead that as to how can we kind of pave our way and remain employable in this evolutionary landscape that we are witnessing. I'll come to you on that a little later. Meanwhile, this is for the audience that we have opened the poll for 10 questions that we have hosted on community on WhatsApp group. Whilst you are listening to this interaction, interesting, thought-provoking discussion, I would also request you, because we are all good at multitasking, to kind of also go through these questions and give your opinion about those questions, which we will reflect over here on the screen at the end of when we are approaching towards the end of our session today. So feel free at your own convenience, whenever in between you find time from this very lucrative discussion, to fill in the answers to those 10 questions. Coming back to you, Sunilji, if AI generates a clean audit report, but the founder, maybe a those charged with governance or the owners of the business, along with auditor, doesn't understand how it is generated, what sort of analysis, what sort of algorithm were applied while doing the audit, where is the trustworthiness of these reports? Can we trust what we don't understand? Your views, please.
Yeah, so thanks a lot. I think, as I mentioned, over the years, the definition of trust has been revised. As in, like, I can trust this document, I can trust this photo, or I can trust this video. And over the years, it has changed. I think all this, these days, what we are also seeing that if there is a job, like when we are hiring, when we are sending a job description to a candidate, the candidate, there are some people who will upload this job description, their own resume, and then ask AI to create a suitable matching resume, and then send it across. So when we get that resume, तो हमको तो एकदम भगवान मिल गया ऐसा खुशी होता है, अरे एकदम matching, like this guy is matching to the. Likewise, if I say कि आपको कैसा बैलेंस शीट चाहिए जो ऑडिटर आप साइन कर देंगे, एंड वैसा ही मैंने AI से निकाल दिया, it looks good, it is correct, but under what entries were ignored or what entries were selected to generate this, nobody knows.
Absolutely.
And then there comes up question where it is especially a regulated area like finance. I think what we see is anything that can have an audit trail, anything that can be verifiable and or explained is something that we would believe in. So today I think AI can be leveraged to generate some reports, reconcile something, some transactional things, but I think still the human element where putting a context to it, putting a morality to it is required by, and without that I don't think any founder or any regulatory authority will accept as it is. Many of these, and there could be confusion as well. क्या है ना कि many of these AI databases or LLMs, meaning large language model, meaning some terminologies, these are basically, you can think of as a database. They have been built by scraping data from all over the world. And because of that, certain bias get generated. अभी आपको एक ऐसा पुराना डेटा किधर से मिला कि इंडियन लोग don't consume alcohol, for example. Especially कुलकर्णी लोग तो पीते ही नहीं, ऐसा आ गया. And in my books, if you find some wine bottle expense, तो आप AI engine will immediately show this as a कुछ fraud है या कुछ irregular expense है. But it is a bias.
Yeah, it's a false positive.
False positive.
Absolutely.
And hence, this is a very simple example. But idea is all these databases, there is still getting trained and over the years. So I think AI, all these reports, to certain extent, they might generate at a lower level, but cannot be trusted as it is.
Absolutely right. As Mr. Sunil ji has said, that when Mr. Ramalingan Raju back in 2008-9 perpetrated India's biggest ever financial fraud, imagine if he would have used AI, what could have happened? He had literally fabricated the books based on his human intelligence. AI is far more better, far more intelligent. So imagine at what magnitude an organization can fabricate the book to suit the requirements of an auditor. And when you end up auditing the books, which looks literally error-free or fraud-free, it itself is a red flag, isn't it? So in this era, conducting an audit, giving an assurance that books of accounts are true and fair, especially when the books can be fabricated using such a sophisticated technology, in itself is a challenge. And we just wanted to bring this to your notice that the trust using AI is another challenge that is going to, something that we need to learn how to deal with. Great, sir. Coming back to Anil ji, You mentioned in your previous conversation about a lot of audit trail and the transparency which the custom authorities or the government authorities are aiming at when we are dealing with them. So as authorities mandate real-time compliance, like e-invoicing, live reporting, digital audits, split payments, how AI helps business stay ahead of this. So, with real-time tax compliance becoming a new norm, how AI will empower business to adopt and remain competitive? Your
Yeah,
views,
this is the holy grail nirvana kind of situation for the governments, right? Essentially, the government pretty much knows everything that with e-invoicing, it is already there. E-invoicing enables live reporting so that you don't need to create the tax returns. Government has already created the return for you, and you just need to, validate whether theek hai ki nahi hai, right? And then there is split payment. So the government today is asking you to collect, you the business, collect the tax on their behalf. And then, once a month or whatever, remit that tax to the government. The government is saying there's no need for that. We know how much our share is. And when the payment actually happens, we are going to take our share and you get your share, right? So that is where it is going with e-invoicing. India has actually taken one of the fastest e-invoicing steps anywhere in the world. And live reporting and split payments are just a matter of time. And all this is going to be facilitated by AI because things that Sunil talked about, anomaly detections, leakages, etc. Finding that is extremely easy now. And we always kind of complain about governments being slow or not really knowing technology, etc. That's not true at all. We sell to the governments, many governments are our customers, and we are amazed. And unfortunately, businesses find it very unpleasantly that the governments actually use technology in a tremendous way, right? As we speak, our CBP, for example, is going through historical customs declarations and actually retroactively sending notices thanks to our technology. That is happening. That is happening all over the world. So the point is really that if the government knows everything thanks to e-invoicing, what choice do you have, right? Correct by construction, accurate by design, complete traceability, using, rather than monolithic, actually a lot of microservices so that a small component that is really good at doing something. And then integration of all of this with your ERP, with your point of sale solution, with everything else, with your tax engine. I think that is really what is needed because with the kind of changes that I talked about, and the governments will actually increase the pace of those changes, and this traceability requirement and this compliance pressure, because those notices are coming. And we see it all the time. In fact, a big part of our business is helping businesses deal with the notices that are coming from the government. And even in India, from the US governments, the amount of notices that are coming for indirect tax alone is just staggering. And these are penalties that are going into millions of dollars. So we are waking up very slowly. And I think it's a freight train that is just gonna hit us, all exporters, that is. And I think the only way out is essentially to comply, because the cost of compliance is actually getting much lower compared to the cost of non-compliance. You have to do the math.
yes.
And the ratio is just getting so skewed that it is essentially idiotic not to comply because that cost is very low. So,
Right. Very nicely said. So again, government becoming more technology savvy leaves us a very limited room as a businesses, as a consultant, to kind of identify the loopholes, because everything is so interconnected with blockchain, which is on the cards, with e-payments, with digital wallets. with e-invoicing, slowly and gradually, the entire ecosystem is moving towards bringing a lot of transparency and trust. Very nicely said. So now back to you, Dr. Bhushan. Hallucinations. That's a very, very, it's a talk of everybody's, and there have been instances which we all chartered accountants know that AI hallucinates like a human being. So, how should professionals like us validate and safeguard against such risks? If you can throw some light and help our participants to deal with this.
So AI hallucination is predominantly because of how it is designed. The way AI, LLM or ChatGPT or any other like Grok 3 or Gemini or any other engine, the way it works internally or intrinsically, even the people who created this neural network based tool, even they don't know. And so the hallucination is essentially the machines mimicking what we do. And so hallucination is a very human construct and machine seems to copy it. So as we are feeding a lot of data, including the various biases and all kinds of information, the construction of or fabrication of data that happens after that is kind of beyond even the control of the machine and the algorithm. So naturally, the onus is on us to do the validation. And that's, I think, where the hope for a lot of CAs and even the lawyers and eventually other people is. So this is happening because many of the LLMs have been trained on certain time data. So there is a temporal aspect to it. For example, ChatGPT latest version is trained up to, I think, November 2023. Anything happening beyond that, for example, anything happening in 2025 budget, will not be covered with any degree of sanctity. So if you throw a question to ChatGPT, and I think I read somewhere about section 87A, so I think that's your domain. But that would be something that the ChatGPT will not say with a lot of confidence. You will have to eventually validate, you will have to eventually see whether it makes sense from the latest documents which are available on Taxman or any other publicly available documentation and the experts in the field. So the hallucination is a reality and that is not necessarily an outcome of any ill treatment of data. It is just part and parcel of the technology. So the onus will definitely be with us. And so just as it is true for other fields, I think chartered accountancy also is not immune to it.
Great. So the takeaway is do not trust, have a maker and checker, or trust and verify. Yeah, so that's the takeaway I'll
Just
have.
one more thing on that. There is a new tool that has been released called Humanize AI.
Yes.
And that is to take care of the so-called plagiarism. So if you create something from ChatGPT, and if there are tools which are going to catch whether it is human created or ChatGPT created, even that can be overcome by technology itself. So technology is taking care of the hallucination part.
Right, right. So to check whether it is an AI generated or whether how much is the human component of it. That's very rightly said. Now I'm back to you, Sunilji. We often hear about the power of AI. How do we ensure that human values of judgment and ethics are retained, especially in accounting and audit? Because in our audit practice, we express our opinion on the books of accounts. We follow standards on auditing where professional skepticism needs to be applied. So where do we have to bridge this gap and kind of, take care of the human element in this domain?
Yeah, I think over the years, finance, accounting, or auditors have moved from just an external vendor to a partner for the organization. Meaning if I'm an organization and I'm a business owner, today I see my auditor or a chartered accountant as more of a partner who's helping me, advising me, guiding me. who understands the context or background that I'm coming from, which today this AI engine is yet to understand. So I think we will see some time. So even when this context part, if I say bank, it is very difficult to understand whether I'm talking of River Bank, I Bank on You, Bank of India. So even when we are looking at translation engines, they're also throwing wrong responses and so on. That said, for some of the AI engine companies, the kind of work that we have been getting lately is how to ensure that empathy or ethics or morality in the answers given by the AI. So today, if I ask Alexa or I'm feeling depressed today, and I think of jumping from the window, it shouldn't say, go ahead, be my guest. It should say, life is more beautiful, and why don't you think about this, yeah, and so on. So we regularly get answers which have to be evaluated by human, like our members, and then we'll put a mark around that this has to be changed and so on. Likewise, about right or wrong, and whether, or revenue recognition, for example. Should I recognize this revenue as part of this year or next year, and so on. So the engines have to be trained. That said, business velocity has increased a lot. Earlier, if I ask, यार मुझे वो data चाहिए, my auditor or CA will give it 2 weeks चलता था. Today I want it by afternoon or evening, which means you go to audit somewhere, पहले लोग 10 फाइल सामने रख देते, सर ढूंढो इसमें. Now, then because of automation and these things, I think these kind of things have, the velocity has increased dramatically. And that's where I feel AI, automation can be used to find out more anomalies, find out tax optimization routes or whatever. But ultimately, we cannot outsource the moral decisions to the machine. It has to be retained with the human who's doing that.
Yeah, very rightly said. So although we have trained machines to mimic like human beings by feeding a lot of data the way human beings would have reacted, but at the end of the day, what is unique about human beings is nothing which can be imbibed into the machine, which is making decisions, emotions, etc., etc. Right?
Especially, I think this is a very relationship-driven thing. So that relation and trust is still captured by the human element, I think.
Absolutely. With your permission on the dias, if I can open the forum for any questions to the audience, since you have come all the way and we have got learned audience over here. Any questions anybody would like to have you would like to have any question? Yeah, just a minute. We'll have one question from him. Can we give the mic to the audience, please?
Sir, it's not a question. I just wanted a confirmation from Anil sir. So 2 days back, we all read in the newspaper that a capital gain expenditure was disallowed because the claim was submitted in a font that did not exist on the day expenditure was done. So, Anil sir.
Before
I don't know about this particular case.
That's what I wanted to say. Sorry to cut you, Anilji. He has a different domain expertise, so although he's from an indirect tax perspective, but his role is more on the technology front than on the income tax side. So pardon me for that. Any other technology-driven questions where their forte lies? Because we are all chartered, our knowledge on taxation will be better. We may ask questions to leverage their knowledge. Only last question from the gentleman who have raised the hand, and then we'll come back to our remaining questions, which will enlighten your knowledge. Yeah, just a last question, please.
सर मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है, जो इलेक्शन के बारे में बताया था कि फेस से पता लग जाएगा किस पार्टी को मतलब कि कर रहे हैं, वो किस टेक्नोलॉजी बेस पे हो रहा है, कैसे हो रहा है, उसका थोड़ा सा आइडिया दीजिएगा प्लीज.
ठीक है जी. Interesting question.
So this technology is called recurrent neural networks or convolutional neural networks, and it falls under the technology piece called deep learning. So you have artificial intelligence, and then a subset of that is called machine learning, and a subset of that is called deep learning. So if you read a little bit more about that, it is very, very similar to what LLMs also use. And best of luck with the use of this technology eventually for your intended goal. I don't know what that is, but you seem to be very deeply interested. If you want to connect that with the work of CA, it will be a, a game changer, I'm sure.
So friends, just to add, today Google knows more about us than we know about ourselves. Ola, Uber knows our travel pattern. Swiggy, Zomato know more about our eating habits. So technology knows us more than what we are. When you open YouTube in the morning, you get set of videos which you see in the morning. When you open YouTube in the afternoon, you see most of the market videos because this is what chartered accountants do, past-time investment. When we go in the afternoon, we see a lot of news videos, which means what? Even YouTube knows your preferences, time-based preferences. So that's what the deep learning does. Coming back, thank you, Audit.
Amish, I can just take just 1 minute if
Sure.
you may,
Sure, please.
answering
Please go
his
ahead.
question because it had some relevance.
Okay.
Although I don't know about this particular case, and we are more in indirect tax, not direct tax, but this sounds not familiar, but a few years ago I would have believed, and we have seen cases where these sorts of situations did exist, right? Even in indirect tax domain. But one thing we need to all understand is that, we know, COVID actually forced us to digitize and all the transformations, et cetera, happened. We don't know to the extent that governments have digitized, right? And that's the point that I want to make. Things like these are pretty much thing of the past. Governments were forced to digitize as much as businesses did. We always pat our back that, we did a great job, getting people remotely and so on and so forth. So did the governments. And the flip side of that is actually there is so much that the governments know at their fingertips now with data that these kinds of things are no longer a reality. The reality is that the governments know way more about us than we do. And in all the notices and enforcements that we are seeing, it is very clear and scaringly clear as to what government knows. So,
Thank you very much, Anilji, for giving this. I really appreciate the participation expected from the audience, but please pardon us, we are running really short of time. Other speakers are waiting for the next session. So I'll not take much time. I really respect our learned speakers are here. You can grab them off the stage and make most of their knowledge. They are very rare people to find here, though they are Punekars, but they are very busy. So you can grab them and they would be more than happy to help you. Having said so, we are going to release the poll of the questions that you have answered. You can see them on the screen. So as far as the first question is concerned, the audience seems to be correct. C is the right answer. So great. Can we go to the next one, please? It was not shown? So it's a hallucination. Okay. So now you are doing it right away, isn't it? Okay. So even the second seems to be correct, whomsoever has answered. Still people are answering, but I revealed the answer, my apologies. For the next one, I'll wait. Great. Shall we move on to the third one, and this time I'll wait. Yeah, please go ahead. It's a good pattern analysis. So far, C has been the right answer is what he had said, but let's see whether this time this is C or some other character.
Don't you wish that CA exams were this way? Like, there's only one answer. All the time it's C or D or something.
Right. This time try to go with C and we'll see the fun. So Anilji, this time your analysis have gone wrong. So A is the right answer for question number 4. Shall we move on to the next one, please? Sorry, we are a little bit moving faster. That's correct. So AI seems to be liking C more, right? Yeah, C stands for our community, so even AI is biased towards that. Wonderful. Again, C is the right answer. Shall we move on to the next one, please? Now we have all started applying our analytics brain. That's unique about we chartered accountants. So correct, B is the right answer for question number 6. You've been a wonderful audience so far, very learned, to the point. Yeah, that's correct. Again, the B is the right answer for question number 7. So we are all aligned in that sense because even the wrong answers, the proportion is very small so far. So we are all on the right track. Maybe in the next panel discussion, we'll raise the bar of difficulty. That's correct. So yeah, the answer for question 8 was C. Now we are on the question number 9. Nobody for D? Okay, somebody is for D as well. Great, so for 9, again the correct answer is A. So the last one we have kept tricky. Yeah. We'll please the audience the way AI always pleases the audience, the users rather. So we'll go with the majority even if the answer turned out to be anything. We'll go with majority. So if you are saying A, let's consider A as the correct answer. Yeah, but really the answer is A. Thank you for your active participation. I would have liked to take more questions, but we are running short of time. So I'll just quickly give my closing remarks and So, ladies and gentlemen, what a thought-provoking session we have just witnessed. Today's session was not about replacing humans with AI. It was about amplifying the value of human judgment in an AI-driven world. As a chartered accountants, we are entering an era where we'll not only vouch for the numbers, but also for algorithms. I, with very much force, always say this statement: AI will not replace chartered accountants. However, chartered accountants using AI will certainly replace those who are not integrating AI into their practice. As we step forward into this AI-enabled era, may we remember machines can process rules, but only humans can uphold the trust, which is very important in our domain. My sincere thanks to our distinguished panelists, Mr. Sunil Kulkarni, Dr. Bhushan Kelkar, and Mr. Anil Paranjape for their invaluable perspective. Let us take this learning forward with integrity, curiosity, and adaptability. Thank you, stay blessed, and have a wonderful day at the summit. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. So thank you for showing us that what would trust look like if we built it with AI and not in spite of AI. So call for actions, for me at least, is ask tough questions to AI, to boss, to client, to everyone. Embrace innovation, but pair it with integrity, accountability, and healthy sense of skepticism, and be the professional who don't just use AI, but shape how it is to be used responsibly. With this note, may I please request Mr. Saurabh Ajmera, RCM, for vote of thanks and felicitation to Bishan Patel, please.
Friends, what a wonderful session we had. Let's have a big round of applause for all our panelists and the moderator of this session. We believe that AI can provide tools and technology, but we are the best known for our services, best known for our trust. Our profession is highly known for the trust, which we can achieve by advancing ourselves with adaptability of tools and technology and our human acumen. That is really a great learning for all of us. I once again thank CA Amish Thakkarji for wonderful moderation, the way he has taken all our questions, and the session was really interactive. On behalf of ICAI, I like to propose well-deserved vote of thanks to all our panelists also, Dr. Bhushan Kelkar, Mr. Anil Pranjape, Mr. Sunil Kulkarni ji. And friends, believe me that AI is now completely unavoidable, and we have to understand AI in terms of our affection and love in our life. So we have to understand AI in that way, and my appeal to all of you that you तना बैठकर ना देख हाथों की लकीर अपनी, you तना बैठकर ना देख हाथों की लकीर अपनी, उठ बांध कमर और लिख दे तकदीर अपनी, लिख दे तकदीर अपनी, with the use of AI. And once again, I like to thank the chairman of AI committee in ICAI, CA Umesh Sharma ji, for organizing such a wonderful program for all of us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. And for the felicitation, please. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.